Okay, welcome back everybody. Now we're going to try to figure this stump full of granddaddies out, or this mess right here. Of course, this is these two leads are the AC power, and we'll clean those up, get rid of those a little bit. From my last update, I went ahead and put the ground onto this filter cap. I believe this to be the 10Y and the 10Z dual capacitor, which is 0.006 and 0.03, and they fall in the circuit thusly. The 10Y, and this is probably a tone control, flipping that capacitor in and out. That's the 0.03, and then the 0.06 is a bypass to ground here. So if you'll notice, the 10Z and the 10Y have the same common. This one, the 10Z, goes to ground, and the other one is switched in and out of the B+. So here's what we're going to do. Since this is the common, we'll go back over here to the stump full of granddaddies. This is a dual capacitor, and this ground tab is not grounded, but it is floating. One of the things that gave it away, this end of the capacitor goes to the switch. The other end goes to the ground. So this is the common between the two. This lead goes down to pin 2 of the output tube here, and that's the common. So it goes to this one as common. Now what threw me off, of course, this lead goes to the green wire of the output transformer, which would tie into the same tie point, and it does. What threw me was this lead. So I'm sitting here scratching my head looking on the schematic, and instead of turning over and tracing it out, come find out it's one of these wires that's not connected to anything, been terminated and taped up. And of course you can see they were taped up really well. So and the other one just went to a B+ over here, so right here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to snip this wire off and this one off, and then do away with it. And then we will put a terminal strip in here somewhere, and we will bring so we'll use one end of a capacitor from here to ground and tie this lead on there. Getting a text. And then the other capacitor will go from here to the switch. So let's clean this mess up. I've put this terminal strip in here, and I went ahead and soldered it to the chassis, so I made that the ground. And I tied this capacitor to here, and this is the common point, if you'll remember. I tied the pin 2 from the output tube to here. Also tied the output transformer to this point, and then the other common point of the other capacitor put up here. While I was in here, I went ahead and put a safety cap on the AC line, or yeah, it's after the switch going to the primary of the transformer. So I went ahead and put a safety cap there. So now we've got to go over here, and one thing I need to remember, these this was the modification, as you recall, of the putting the 42 tube in. So they broke the ground from pin 5 of the output tube, and they broke the ground and put the resistor and the capacitor in to ground. So what I've got to do is I've got to take these out and go ahead and put the ground back on pin 5 on here before I forget it, because if I do, then it won't work, obviously. And then we replace this cap and this cap, and then I'll check the resistors. I think this is about the only other resistor I have to check, but check that, and we'll see. And we get those two. Well, actually it's 4 if you think about it, because these are dual capacitors. So once we get those replaced, get it cleaned up a little bit more, might be able to fire it up and see if it works. Okay, as you can see, I have recapped this. I replaced that one up here with 2 caps, and this one down here with 2 caps. I've started pulling the volume control and switch out just to clean it up, take it apart and clean it up, and make sure that's good and clean. What I also plan on doing is taking a little brush. I think this is what you get to clean hummingbird feeders out. And I'm going to go through and clean each one of these tube pins, and also go back, or tube pins in the socket, whatever, clips. And then I'm going to clean the pins on the tubes, because a lot of problems, intermittent problems, will come from these being really dirty. And so it's just always a good practice to clean these things while you've got it down here. And once we get this cleaned out and get this, I plan on cleaning up a little more, but we get this cleaned up and everything, we may try to fire it up, see if it'll play. I've cleaned it, the volume control and the on-off switch, put the tubes in, got a temporary power cable on it. Let's run the variac down, turn the switch on, a little bit of volume. Going to run the voltage up a little bit at first, look for the current. There's about 25 volts, about 100 milliamps, which sounds okay. Okay, not excessive current. Let's go on up a little bit more to about 50. Went to 200 milliamps, falling back a little bit. Don't see any smoke. Hear any snap, crackling, and popping. We're going up a little bit more. There's about 80 volts or so. Do I see any glow anywhere? I do see some filaments. Let's go a little bit more. There's about 100 volts. It's running about 350 milliamps. Let's go up to about 110. It's about as far as I want to go. What is that? Tone. It's night time, about 9:30 in the evening. That's the broadcast band, not the broadcast, but the shortwave band. I have a little issue with that. I think it may be that switch. Remember, I still haven't got the detents fixed in that yet. It works. Go back to the broadcast band a little bit. There's the ball game. Okay. I'm not done with this. I just had to try that. It's pulling a little over 400 milliamps at 110 volts or so. But I'll check and see if the transformer's getting hot or anything like that. But we've got to come back and patch this speaker, do some more cleanup and whatever. But we got to fix those switches also. Put those ball bearings in that I've got to come up with. So I just had to try it after I got it recapped and cleaned up. As I promised you, we were going to replace the ball bearing in the detent of the switches. I feel like what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take these switches out. And there's a long story behind this. But if I'm in my house, I'm in a room, a spare room downstairs in the basement that I work on my radios with, and if I use any deoxit or any petroleum-based products or anything like that, it gets into my gas logs and reeks. All you gotta do is just a squirt, and it'll run you out of the house for several hours. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these switches out and take them outside, clean them up really good, and put the ball bearing in there. Now, the ball bearings, I did the measurements and I ordered 5/32. Okay. Well, I got to looking at it and did a little fitting on it and everything, and I said, well, they're too big. They're just too big. So I went back and I ordered some 1/8. Well, when I tried that, they dropped out. So this is the 5/32 will be the ball of choice. So let me get this out, and then we'll clean it all up and fit the ball in it and see how it works. As you can see, I've got the ball in. I put a little bit of sewing machine grease. Yeah, I really thought this ball was too big in the beginning. And what I did, I measured that hole and realized that a 5/32 would not go through that hole. It was less than. So that's the size I ordered. And then when I initially put it on there, I'm going to probably take a little bit of that grease off after I work it a little bit. But then I said, well, I'll order some 1/8 inch. So I ordered 1/8 inch and put it in there, and it fell out the back. So the 5/32 is the size for this. So I had to straighten this out a little bit, and as you can see how it works. This I guess this can be for multiple connections the way it's designed. and this slot here to here determines the how many positions it is. So this is just a 2 position, and I don't know if you can hear it, but it's clicking pretty good. Should be making good connection. We'll put this back in, take the other one out. I'm not going to show you that one unless I run into something that's just abnormal, but as you can see, that looks pretty good. Taking this one out and cleaned it also, and it works pretty good. Cleaned all the contacts. We'll see how it works in the circuit when we put power back on it again. I've patched the speaker. As you can see, watch me poke a hole in it with my stick. But what I did, just a small piece of, if you'll remember this little hole, this is the one that I poked in it while I was doing some resistance checks early on. And if you looked real close, you caught me. But these things, and I just saw, let's say who was Doug. He just was putting his radio back together, and he left the cover on it because he made the comment he'll stick his thumb through there. And these are very, very easy. When you're working around it, you lose track of it and you poke a hole in it, guarantee it. Well, I removed that tape, and another small, and I don't know if you remember or not, there was 2 small holes here, and I patched that. And then this was a pretty significant one. Now, the method that I used is the one that Michael from That Tube Sound introduced to me back sometime. And you use a coffee filter, and you use some glue, wood glue, and you dilute it a little bit with water. And instead of cutting the coffee filter, now I cut it, but then I tore the edges. And I'll put a picture up, and you can see you take and you pull the edges and you fray it out, and you get a lot of small fibers. And then when you put the glue on, those fibers reach out and it strengthens it even more. On this one, I went ahead and did a patch on the very back also, because it was about this long. Pretty significant. So anyway, so what do we lack? Putting in a good power cord. I've got to find one. I think I've got some around here somewhere. Put a new power cord in, and then we'll do some more tests. We'll do some voltage checks and what have you to make sure that everything's where it's supposed to be. And the cabinet, it was 20 degrees. It was 19 degrees this morning, and so we're looking at more rain in the next couple of days or so. So I don't know when I'm going to get on the cabinet. I do nickel and dime, but until I get some low humidity, I really can't do any lacquer work. But I've still got a lot of prep to do on it. So y'all bear with me, and we'll bring it as we can. So until next time, this is Larry from the hills of Tennessee. Thanks for watching.